What's up, Sleepers Media family? I'm Matt. He's Carter. We're talking through the Tennessee Syracuse breakdown here. This is the recap of the Syracuse win, which, Carter, I'm just going to start out with hand up. I was wrong. I thought without Donnie Freeman, Syracuse was not going to be able to get this one done. But I looked dumb a lot of the time here, and I think Syracuse was adamant about making sure that that was the case. This game was like kind of Spider-Man meme to me. Like Syracuse wins 62-60. The stats are like really similar, except more points in the paint for Tennessee, but like everywhere else, they're like pretty darn close. I guess just first question to open up here, is Syracuse good or is Tennessee bad or is it some combination of both?
Well, look, first of all, I'm part of the hand up movement as well. I thought that Syracuse would not be able to hang on the boards in this
Right.
game. I thought that they would get dominated on the glass, and they hung around in this one. I mean, Tennessee did out rebound them in the offensive glass, 13 rebounds for them, but Syracuse had 9 rebounds of their own. They kept it within four for a team that rebounds as well as Tennessee does.
Mhm.
For them to limit them and keep the rebounding battle close, I thought was very much impressive. And then, you know. I guess we'll dive into eventually, like, what does this mean? Like, Tennessee's not as good as we thought. Syracuse is better than we thought. The one thing I think that you need to give credit for in this one, though, is that Syracuse, they had their first game in the players era where, like, they hung around. They could have beat Houston. They're feeling good about that. Then they got the floor wiped within the next 2 games, right? And they probably felt bad about themselves after those 2 games. And I thought they showed a really good amount of, like, I guess the word is pride and intestinal fortitude, mental toughness to, have an opportunity to play a good team in Tennessee and not basically just do like the woe is me. We went to players there and got like our bus whoop thing. They bounced back, they defended home court and they played extremely well. And I know in the preview you talked about guys having to step up. JJ Starling stepped up. He had
Yeah.
some massive moments down the stretch in this game, which, you know, if you would have told me that J.J. Starling made more plays than Jacoby Gillespie down the stretch of a basketball game, I would have said, I guess we're just making things up. That did not happen. He stepped up. Sadiq White was really good on the
Mhm.
glass in this basketball game. Kings was good in this game as well. They had a lot of guys step up in really big moments. And you know what? I just didn't really predict that Syracuse guys would be the ones to step up. Where on the other hand, we'll touch on it with Tennessee, just a very kind of lackluster performance by some of their bigger guys.
Yeah, you mentioned Nate Kings. He had 19 points in the first half and finishes the game with 19 points. And that's kind of what I thought would happen is like he would cool off eventually or they'd figure out a way to shut him down. And then where would Syracuse get enough of their points from? But you mentioned Starling. Yeah, he out Jacoby Gillespie, which is kind of crazy, especially down that stretch. He finishes with 12. Gillespie, not like crazy inefficient, 10 points, 5 of 12, missed all of his threes in this game. Like had one kind of costly turnover. He just looked a little tired to me. He and Ament both. Ament finishes 2 of 10, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, but like 4 personal fouls. A couple of them were just seeming like I'm kind of gassed here and I'm just gonna wrap a dude up. So having Ament be on Starling when he was on a heater down the stretch, a lot of that didn't make sense to me. And you've got a really good perimeter defender and Bishop Boswell, who is like truly my favorite guy on this Tennessee team, him and maybe Jalen Carey, just like from a fun role player perspective, like how is Boswell not your guy strapping up their dude who is making shot after shot? That one was like kind of a head scratcher to me. And obviously I know defense better than Rick Barnes, so I'm gonna question all of his moves here.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you saw the end of that game, the last like mid range that Starling had, it was like an amen Akpara like
Switch.
screen like
Yeah.
switch, and they were like on different page. We'll talk a little. Look, this Tennessee team is like shout to Jalen Carey. He played incredible. It
He was
sucks for
so
him
good.
that he had such
Yeah.
a good look at the end of this game.
Mhm.
Like he was incredible in this game, 22 and 9 off the bench. It's the thing is though is that this Tennessee team is so Gillespie and Amen centric
Right.
that you really can't necessarily afford for those guys to like have off-ish nights. And Gillespie wasn't really able to do enough down the stretch. He only has 4 points in the second half of this game. Amen had 8 points in the second half, but all those basically came from the free throw line. Almost, I mean,
Mhm.
Amen's just got to play better, to be
You gotta make
honest. Like
shots.
on the
Yeah.
road, in this environment, you need to play better. You need your stars to star, and they weren't able to do so. While on the other hand, JJ Starling had his moments, and even William Kyle, a guy that, with all due respect, my guy is really hard to watch from the free throw
It's
line. But
tough. Yeah.
hey. He was 4 for 10. He made the one that counts, though. He made the one that counts. That's all that matters.
You know that like the games like a basketball game where if you miss the two free throws in the fourth quarter or whatever, they give you the free Chick-fil-A.
Yeah,
You can offer at Syracuse like free tuition if William Kyle makes back-to-back free throws and
honestly.
probably still be safe, but he plays hard as shit and he's kind of good and he was better than Okpara in this game. Like I was not feeling what Okpara brought for them. I thought they really missed JP Estrella in this one. Like
Yeah.
Jalen Carey in the high post was truly their best offense and it was I'm already blanking on who was on the broadcast, but it was about 5 minutes into the second half, and they were like, "So, how come Tennessee hasn't gone back to Jalen Carey to start this?" And it was like, honestly, it was working. I would have kept exploiting that, and he seemed to be the one guy that could kind of out physical some of the big guys here for Syracuse. And he doesn't have the length that they do, but he has like the physical stature to kind of bully some of the skinnier forwards for Syracuse. And going away from that, it was like, where else is the offense other than Gillespie or Amen just dribble a lot and then shoot it.
Yeah, to another point, don't want to know if I'm going too far here, but I wanted to bounce this off you.
Kind of like it.
Did Red Autry kind of outcoach Rick Barnes a little bit in this basketball game?
I'm gonna like deep cut you a little bit more here, even. My guy Dan Engelstad is the defensive coordinator for Syracuse, and
Is he?
since he left Mount St. Mary's to join that staff, I thought they've made like a huge jump defensively, and that's sort of like his bread and butter. So I can't give Red Autry credit for anything just because I'm not a believer, but yeah, honestly, like their defense is so good, and they were like Tennesseeing better than Tennessee. It was impressive to watch.
Yeah, it truly was. The defensive effort was really good, but like to your point, like Jalen Carey gave you 22 and 9 and only played 23 minutes.
Yeah, like what are we doing here?
Like, and I understand he's a bigger guy. Like maybe he gets a little burnt out if he gets up to 30, but like Nate Ament was giving you nothing. Nate Ament had 7 turnovers in this basketball game. He still played 30 minutes. They
Yeah,
had 17 turnovers as a team.
at some point you got to give even your star guy the hook if it's not working. And like I said, I like Boswell a lot. I think he makes like pretty good decisions. He only shoots three times in this game. He goes two of three and hit a couple like two, at least one big three late that I remember. And it's just like,
Right.
oh, okay, we're not like we can't go to that again. Like I just wasn't sure what was happening, and I don't know. I just when I think of Jalen Carey, I know this dude wakes up in the morning and looks in the mirror and just sees like college Draymond Green. Like he thinks he's like the dude. He had like 10 points and five rebounds at halftime and was like flexing down the court. Like like I would exploit that. Like because he was not scared of that moment. And you have a freshman wing who's like clearly in his head, clearly struggling. Maybe there's some health stuff. He was like dealing with maybe some cramp or like a calf pull or something in Vegas. Maybe that's lingering a little bit. So you've got all these veteran dudes, like go to them more. And I'm not saying that to take away from Syracuse because I think a lot of what they did really limited what Ament was able to do. Like we mentioned Tyler Betsy in the preview, and he only had 2 points in this game, but he played pretty good defense. And I'm surprised he didn't play more than 14 minutes, honestly, because I thought he was legitimately their best player out in Vegas. And I mean, Sadiq White was good. Like they got enough from those wings to frustrate Ament. And I don't know that every team that they're gonna play is gonna have dudes capable of matching up with him and being like the right guy for him physically. But this worked out well for Syracuse.
Yeah, and I feel like this is gonna be a theme for just me personally all year with Syracuse. So I feel like I'm gonna go back and forth because like I came on that Houston game, I'm like, whoa, Syracuse might be good.
Yep.
And they get whooped like 2 games in a row. I'm like,
They
maybe
they were
not. So
kind of in that Kansas game to be fair. Like
yeah,
it got
true.
away for them a little bit, but they got boat raced in the third game.
Yeah, without Ted. But like Iowa State's really good too at the
They're
same
really
time.
good. Yeah.
Third game. So like I don't know. I think that Syracuse defensively is just gonna give themselves chances in basketball games. It's just
Yeah.
like, are they gonna be able to get enough points? And in this one, maybe even looking back on the preview, I kind of maybe should have been like, you know what? Tennessee's a defensive team too. If you
Mhm.
can just like out defend them, and I mean, this was a 62-60 game. Both teams don't really shoot well from three. There was only total of 9 made threes between the two teams in this game. Like it was a little bit of a defensive slugfest, but you got to give credit to Syracuse for getting the win over Tennessee at home. I do got to ask you before we get out of here though, is this a Syracuse like good, okay, or like Tennessee? We need to like look at this a little bit more.
Yes.
Yes.
I think it's somehow both. I keep going back and forth with the Syracuse team. I didn't think they'd have enough firepower. Like they need a guy, and I guess they're just going to keep doing guy by committee and see if it works. Like it looked like Kings was going to be the one to dominate this game. They kind of switch halves between he and Starling, so maybe they just can kind of situationally do it. Maybe it's Kai and Anthony one night. Maybe they go through the bigs more. Maybe Freeman comes back and makes up some of the difference here. But yeah, I think they're solid. This is a middle of the road plus ACC team to me, and this is a Tennessee team I was high on. I think they have the personnel and the guys. It's just going to be one of those things. Can they get the guys in the right roles to maximize the collective potential of the group here? And I don't think they've figured it out yet, but I also wouldn't bet against Tennessee, 2 months from now or something like that.
Yeah, look, I think that they have such a young star in Nate Ament who like, there's always this player that every single year is like, I know draft Twitter loves and tells
Mm.
me to love them and they're top five, but like also I gotta see it. And he did have some moments in Vegas. Don't let me like short sight him any or shortcut him any little bit here. But also like I'm gonna have a hard time watching some of these other freshmen and people continually try to tell me that Nate Amen is better than them. That's all
Yeah.
I'm saying. But they just need more from their guys. Like, straight up, 10 points from Gillespie is not enough. He's better than that, right?
Mm.
I know he had seven
Yeah.
assists. It feels nitpicky, but they needed him a little bit more in this game. They certainly needed Nate Amen. And they just needed more from the supporting cast in general. Felix Akpar doesn't shoot from outside the paint. He was 1 for 6. He had, I'm sorry, is this Oh, I'm sorry. He
Yeah,
was
one
one
for
for six
six.
from the
Yeah.
field in this game.
He was
Like
bad.
that's just not good enough. And that's what, credit to Syracuse. They were able to capitalize and get the win in this one.
Yeah, I mean, to seriously answer your question, I think this is more a Syracuse win. They played Tennessee in a Tennessee style game and were just better on that particular night at the way Tennessee wants to play, and I think that's a really good sign for Syracuse. And they have dudes, they have athletes, like they're gonna be able to make it ugly against some of these better teams. And if they stole a game against a Louisville or one of these other teams in the ACC that are, I think maybe Duke's a little tougher matchup for them just because I think Boozer would big boy somebody like William Kyle around, but they can make life tough on some of these other teams that are more perimeter oriented, especially. I think so. They could also maybe drop a game to Stanford or something like that here too. But I think this is just a better Syracuse team than we thought. I guess the question is, are they good enough to like basically save Red Autry's job at the end of the year? And that's what I'm really not sure on. Like how actually good are they at this point?
Yeah, I guess that's something we'll find out. Last thing I'll say for me, at least this team, Syracuse team, looks like they bought
Yeah,
into Red, right?
yeah,
Like I
I
saw
do.
the little thing after the game. Everyone's like, I think it was Kai and Anthony was like, yeah, Coach Autry was feeling like kind of down on himself, and we were like, we wanted to pick him up a little bit, and they're hyping. I feel like this is a team that seems like together where, the past couple years, I feel like I'm watching Syracuse, and I feel like I'm watching guys that don't like each other,
Hmm.
maybe not like each other, but maybe they
Sure.
don't like playing with each other as much. I feel like this year's team has some camaraderie to it, even outside of results. Which I think if you're a Syracuse fan, that's like a step in the positive direction a little bit, right?
No, that's a great point. I was actually at Cal last night, and Chris Bell is one of their better players that's been on Syracuse the last couple of years. And I was watching the Syracuse game while sitting at Cal, thinking, man, Syracuse could really use a 6'7" guy that could score 15 points a game and shoot a high percentage. But sometimes it's the vibes, and is he locked in enough, and maybe just not good enough defensively, and some of these other more switchable wings are really paying dividends for them on the defensive side. So I like it. Good roster construction. Shout out to their GM over there for putting a good group together. Carter, we'll be back, man. Hopefully with more Syracuse and more Tennessee talk throughout the season here. Check us out on Sleepers Media. Like the video, all that good stuff. We'll see you guys next time.